Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. This is Hunter, David, Steven, and Shane. Say what up, boys.
Yo.
What's
up, nerds?
We're back. We're doing a video. This is our Commander Grades video. We're doing it a bit differently this time. So we're going to be talking about the different families, the crime families. Are they criminals? I haven't really paid attention to the lore at all. But we're splitting it up in two videos. So this video, we're going to be talking about Obscura, the Maestros, and the Riveteers. And in the second video, we're going to be talking about the Cavalry, the Brokers, and just a couple non-faction based cards. So let's jump straight into it with the Obscura. And the leader of the Obscura is Raffine, Scheming Seer. Raffine, Scheming Seer is a white, a blue, and a black for a 1/4 legendary creature, Sphinx Demon. It has flying. It has Ward 1. It says whenever you attack, target attacking creature connives X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. What is connives? Well, it says draw X cards, then discard X cards. Put a +1/+1 counter on that creature for each non-land card discarded this way. We'll start with Steven. Steven, what do you think of this card as a commander?
I think when we talked about this originally in the spoilers, I wasn't a big fan of it. And after kind of like talking to everybody, it is good. I still don't think it's in the playstyle that I enjoy, but I just think that it's pretty good just because you can really filter out the good and the bad stuff in your hand. I think it's good colors for token generation and good colors for multiple attackers. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a 3 mana, 1/4 flying, and Ward 1. So it's good on its own.
Yeah, I will say, ever since they've introduced Ward, I think it's been pretty obvious on this channel that I am a huge fan of it. I just think this card's a really good reanimator card. Also a very high damage commander based on the fact that you can churn through your deck and get a whole bunch of 1/1 counters on it. Because it's got flying, just go over the top, hit him with commander damage. Yeah.
As pretty much what you guys have already mentioned, I think it's really powerful. I think connive is one of, if not the best mechanic from this set. And I really love how you can really take this commander in a lot of different directions. You can use this as a combo piece, being able to use that conniving ability to find those key cards. You could use it as a token-based commander. You could do reanimation strategies with it. So, like, it's a very wide range commander. There's a lot of different things that you could be doing with it. I think this card is fantastic.
And it only costs 3, dude, so you can cast it the entire time.
That's the entire time. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, normally some commanders that are starting at 5 or 6, you get a couple casts and then it's like, all right, commander's offline. This commander's probably relevant the entire game.
True.
Digging through your deck's always a good thing.
And these colors, you can technically, if you wanted to, you can bounce it back to your hand as kind of a
These colors
protection.
are amazing.
Yeah.
They're the best colors in Magic, dude.
Oh, you're an Obscura fan, are you?
Out of the factions, I definitely think Obscura is my guy. My go-to.
Just because you're a white-blue player.
Okay.
Now that it adds the black, boom.
Boom.
Boom. Sold.
This
Solid.
card's an all-star, dude.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement here that this card's pretty good, so I feel like we can move on to commander grades already, unless you guys want to say anything else.
Nope.
All right, well, in that case, I am going to give this a B. I don't know if it's a complete all-star, but it's good enough for me.
I'm going to give this thing an A. I think this is a fantastic card. It's going to fly under the radar in a lot of games, and it's going to be able to set up some really nasty stuff. And by the time that your opponents like really kind of put together the direction that your deck is going in, this may have already like really laid the foundation for your game. I think this is an A.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say this is definitely a B, like Hunter was saying. I think this card could be an A, but like just like you're saying, this card does fly under the radar. I think it'll fly under the radar maybe a turn, maybe 2, but once the opponents kind of see what you're doing, somebody's going to bring something up.
Is it flying under the radar because it has flying?
So clever.
Yeah.
Nice puns.
I'm going to give you an award.
God damn.
In Award 1, please.
I do think this card's an all-star, though, dude. I want to give it an A with David. I would play this deck in a heartbeat. And if you're worried about, you can just protect it with the ward, and you can also have a bunch of just things to protect this commander. So this would be an all-star in my book.
Yeah, so I think the overall grade, we give it to the higher score. So this is an A. All right, this next card is Queza, Augur of Agonies. Queza, Augur of Agonies is 1, a white, a blue, and a black for a 3/4 legendary creature, Cephalid Advisor. It says whenever you draw a card, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Very straight and to the point. Shane, what do you think of this card with your favorite colors?
Dude, I'm gonna be biased. I love all these fucking cards, dude. This card sounds awesome because if I'm playing a control-y style, I want to be drawing cards, and I want to be killing you guys. So I'm probably gonna be playing more pillow 40 and like hanging back. So just the fact that I'm drawing is hurting you guys, which okay. It sucks that it's only one opponent, which I think is the biggest downside in my opinion for this card. If this was like opponents, this would be a freaking A again in my opinion. But just the fact that it's hitting one is whatever. And then think about it, dude. Like, what do you run in blue? That's a staple when your opponent casts a spell, or when you'll just be drawing shit tons of cards like that. Like, you can make this deck pretty sick. I think. A worthy? No, but pretty sick.
I think the reason why I like this card the most is because I can ask my 3 favorite questions. Would you like to pay for Rhystic Study? Would you like to pay for Esper Sentinel? Would you like to pay for Smothering Tithe?
Exactly. That never gets old saying that, dude.
Smothering Tithe isn't going to gain you any life on this one, but the other two definitely help.
Well, no, but so in my opinion, if you're playing blue and black, there are some card draws that you can do. So basically, you yourself can draw cards, and then you can do a little bit of a, group hug and make the opponents draw cards as well, and then they can not pay for it if they don't have the mana. Definitely a lot of wheel cards out there, so just
huge wheel commander for sure.
Yeah,
this would be super fun.
I think this actually would probably work out really well if you have a low to the ground ad nauseum deck. That way you cast the ad nauseum, and then anytime you draw those cards, you're going to be gaining life as well, which will help you to just continue to dig even deeper and deeper and deeper into your deck. If you build your deck right, you actually probably just could like outright kill 1 or maybe even 2 opponents using that. And then like Enter the Infinite is another card that goes nuts with this. You'll outright kill 1 opponent, probably kill a second as well.
Yo, wouldn't this be a sick deck to use that fucking Thassa's Oracle?
You could. I mean, it's in the colors.
Can. Yeah, so things like Thassa's Oracle plus things like Lich's Mastery. Lich's Mastery, if you guys don't know what it does, it's 3 mana, 3 black mana and 3 generic mana. For a legendary enchantment, it's got hexproof. It says you can't lose the game, and it says whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. So it kind of just goes infinite. You draw your entire library, and then you can deal that much damage. You can nuke at least maybe 2 players. You can't kill 3 because you'd need 120. So, but I mean, you could put things in your deck like Cranial Archive, which is an artifact that costs 2 that says you can exile it. Pay 2, exile Cranial Archive. Target player shuffles his graveyard back into his library, so you can just do this again and then kill someone like that.
Seems good.
So there is definitely combos.
Is there a rule? This is going to sound like a really shitty question. Can I have a bigger than 99 deck?
No.
In Commander, you cannot.
Damn it.
I think that would be too stupid.
Oh yeah, but you know how like in like standard or whatever you can do whatever, but I just didn't know if there was a rule for that.
It would be fun just shuffling through all of that.
Yeah.
Sounds awful, dude.
So if you have the combo pieces, you can destroy your opponents, but I think it requires a lot of setup.
I think you can have more than 100, right? Like, what if like Yorion was your companion?
I don't think you can.
Yorion banned.
Commander rules say you can only have 99.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering. That math checks out though. Either way, this kind of seems like a really fun commander.
It is fun. I think we can move on to the grades. Shane, what do you think?
Like I said, man, if this was targeting everyone, that would just probably make it too good. So I'm gonna probably give it a B. I do think it'd be fun to play, and there is a world where this could work very well.
I'm right there with you because it says target opponent. I'm actually just gonna have to give this a C. I think it's pretty average. It's kind of got like a draw theme, which is not a theme, but I think it's okay.
I'm agreeing here. I'm going to give this one a C as well. I think that, yeah, if you can get this thing moving and grooving, it has the potential to do stuff. But typically, these kinds of decks, I feel like, are a little bit more on the fragile end of things. And if somebody does end up just killing your opponent, you've spent, I don't know. If you're drawing a million cards, it doesn't matter what commander you're playing with. And then, like, if this thing just does die, I don't know what your secondary game plan here is.
You're just taking out people with you. Goodbye. I'm going to draw my deck and kill myself, but you're dead too.
I will give this a B. And to be honest with you, I'm with Shane on this one. I think this could have been an A, but unfortunately, it does say target, not all opponents. The only other reason why I was going to give this a B is just because I kind of agree with David and Hunter a little bit, just because unfortunately this does seem more like it could only take out one, maybe two. But at the same time, I just think that the upside here is a little bit too good. So I'm going to give it a B.
Wait, no, I was thinking about that actually just now. Unless you have 4 people in the game, somebody's probably going to be killing somebody else, right? So maybe you just hang on long enough to kill one.
I mean, and I thought about that as well, but my issue with that theory is if you're dinging people for 1 and gaining 1, it's going to make you a target.
That's true.
Now, granted, I mean, I might keep you around a little bit longer just because you're allowing me to draw cards, but I don't know. Well, sorry, if you're allowing me to draw cards if you're doing a little bit group huggy, but
yeah.
Not my style.
So this
David, come on.
It's not your style, David?
No.
Well, the tie for this, once again, goes to the higher grade. So this is a B.
Damn right.
All right, the last card of the Obscura is Toluz, Clever Conductor. Toluz, Clever Conductor, is a white or blue, a blue, and a blue or black for a 3/1 legendary creature human rogue. It says, when Toluz Clever Conductor enters the battlefield, it connives. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, exile them from your graveyard. When Toluz dies, put the cards exiled with it into their owner's hand. David, what do we think?
This is a card that has the potential to draw you a ton. And it also has the potential to do absolutely nothing for you as well. So I feel like this is going to be really swingy. I would love to be able to put this into a deck and really be able to abuse it with flicker effects and just be able to have this thing ETB over and over and over and over again. I don't know how effective that's going to be, though.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote for this commander. I said it's cool that it doesn't completely get rid of the cards you exile, which it doesn't, because once this dies, you can just have all those cards you exiled. So it's I don't know if we would call it pseudo card draw, but not really card draw. I don't know.
Card advantage.
Card advantage, I guess. But again, your commander has to die for that to happen, which sucks. I don't know.
You're playing in colors that are very capable of sacrificing this thing.
Yeah, I know, but are you putting? I guess you could put it in the graveyard if you're running like a reanimator, but that commander tax would suck eventually. I don't know. Death triggers on commanders suck, in my opinion.
Death triggers on commanders suck. You don't want to pay the extra 2.
It adds up over time.
I don't think you're ever going to cast this for more than 5. I think you're going to abuse the hell out of it the first time you cast it and flicker it repeatedly and then sack it. And then maybe if you want to, you can cast it a second time later on down the road.
I guess. I mean, flicker it repeatedly just so you can draw your deck.
Yeah. Actually, exactly that. You talked about Thassa's Oracle for the last card. I mean, this is a Thassa's Oracle setup. You get rid of your deck with this thing.
Or at least to get into Demonic Consultation.
I'm actually not that high on this card. I said I was
What
going
do
to
you
be
think?
biased, but I don't know. I feel like what David's saying makes sense, and there is probably something out there that breaks it. Not really breaks it, but it has like there'll probably be a theme around this somewhere. I don't see it right away because I'm not smart enough, I guess, but it just doesn't seem like it just does Like the first one that connived, it gave you counters. So this one doesn't even do that, right?
No.
Oh, it does.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yes. Connive as a
Here.
mechanic will give the counters.
Oh, it always does that. I thought connive
here.
changes.
Connive is the same thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, I guess that's a little different then, maybe.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this card. I mean, like Shane was saying, I feel like I might be missing something, but I'm not a big fan of having to discard cards just to have to wait to play those cards later. Granted, David did say it's is in the color group to sacrifice, but at the same time, I get it, and I'm not a big. I don't know, when I read this, I was like, eh.
These kind of cards are hard to judge because I feel like there's a lot of layers to them, and if you're not like, I don't know, if you're not really good at what David does and try to pick apart everything, I kind of just go, I don't know. I guess good.
I don't know. I definitely think that this thing has like a really solid ceiling to it, but it's got an awful floor. This commander is one that literally can do nothing for you.
And what happens if your opponent exiles your commander?
I mean, that's that being the thing is a lot of removal in EDH does either exile or it's like substitution based effects.
Yeah.
So like things like Kenrith's transformation, and both of those kinds of things basically just nullify its ability.
But the cards that were exiled don't go away. So if you cast your commander again, then you potentially can get the cards that were originally exiled back, right?
I'm not 100% confident because sometimes I know that they count as like separate entities.
Fools, yeah.
So I don't want to give an incorrect ruling on that. I'm not sure on this one.
Because I guess that'd be kind of interesting, because then even if they're exiled, your guy gets exiled, but then you play him again and you still have access to those cards.
I mean,
That could be
rules.
cool.
I mean, rules is written really when you read it. It says, whenever you discard one or more cards, exile them from your graveyard, and then when this dies, put the cards exiled with it into their owner's hand. Now, what I'm assuming, and by reading it, is if it's exiled, those cards are still in exile until this card dies.
Yeah, but Magic's weird.
Yeah, I think the thing being though is that like if you do cast this a second time later on, I don't think that your original group of exiled cards are still going to be a valid target for you to bring back.
You never know, though. Judge.
Judge.
Yeah.
Shane, these are your colors. What are you giving it as a grade?
They're my colors, and I'm bummed, but like I said, because I'm not seeing it at first glance, it's not obvious to me what I'm doing with this, so I'm gonna give it a C, even though I do like it.
David, I think Steven has been waiting for you to change his mind. So what are you giving this as a grade?
I'm gonna give it a C. As I mentioned earlier, it's got a pretty solid ceiling, but the floor on this card is awful. So I don't think I can give it above a C.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
It's not changing Steven's mind.
It's a C. Steven?
I am gonna give this card a D. I'm not a fan of this at all.
All right, well, Toluz Clever Conductor gets an average of a C.
Can't wait for the comments, dude.
Moving on to the next family. This is the Maestros. Maestros, the godfather of the Maestros, is a card that a lot of people have been talking about. This is Lord Xander the Collector. Lord Xander the Collector costs 4, a blue, a black, and a red for a 6/6 legendary creature, Vampire Demon Noble. It says when Lord Xander the Collector enters the battlefield, target opponent discards half the cards in their hand rounded down. Whenever Lord Xander attacks, defending player mills half their libraries rounded down. Whenever Lord Xander dies, target opponent sacrifices half the non-land permanents they own rounded down. Steven, I have the word mill on this card. So let's go ahead and start with the mill player.
Okay, so when I spoke to David about this card, he was talking about being a bully. So I came up with a new term for MTG here. So you have your group hug. I'm going to call this the anti-hug.
Ooh.
The anti-hug. Okay.
Yeah, this card is nuts, and like this card makes me want to be the bully at the table, because at the end of the day, when I play Magic, I play to have fun, but I play to crush my opponents.
Okay.
And this card does everything I want it to do, and I just like my one negative thing about this card is it's 7 mana, and I get it, that's expensive, but at the end of the day, you are playing colors that can get you mana. Dark Ritual, Jessica's Will. I mean, just to name two, this card is going to be a lot easier to play. I don't think this card will go into cheaper decks. I think this is going to be a high power, high budget deck. So, but oh my god, I'm in love with this card.
I can hear the boner in your voice, dude.
It's grown.
As his voice
See,
cracks.
I think I went with the mill to talk about because you're the mill player, but that
Yes.
is so irrelevant on this card. I think most people, I agree with you, full table hate. People are going to hate this card, and I think it's really cool to build around, but if you build this card, no one's going to like you.
No.
Flicker effects, copy effects. Flicker this to get rid of everybody's hands. Copy this, get the legendary creature rule, and just start destroying people's boards. That's really mean. So yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of card you have to exile.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, counter exile, and the exile is only because you couldn't counter it. And if that's the point, then you've already gotten a little upside from this card already.
All I can think of now. Oh, sorry,
No,
right there.
go for it, Shane. I'm gonna rant.
I know you are. That's why I was like, all I could think about right now with this card is when you talked me into that blue dragon, and I just freaked out because this kind of does the same thing, in my opinion, where you wanted to copy the thing, and that's in blue, and it'll come in, it'll ruin your opponent's hand, and then it'll die because it's a copy, and it'll ruin their board. And it's just like nothing about this card is nice. And I get that you're not gonna probably like it, David, but I love this card, and it's in my second favorite color combination, minus the white, add a red, amazing. Go ahead, David.
There are so many reasons why I think this card is just straight up worse than that dragon. I actually don't like this card at all. So its first ability, I think I might be a little bit more entertained by this thing if instead of saying target opponent, it just said each. That way you could actually just like straight up bully people, or not bully people, just like hit the entire table. Whenever I said that this is a bully card, what I'm essentially looking at here is all of these are just picking one person to hit with each of its abilities. And I think whenever you have that kind of effect, it still is going to create this this environment where, I don't know, it maybe if you're playing with a high politics pod, like if that's your group, that's fine. But for me, I look at it and I'm like, I don't want this thing to even potentially swing at me. So I know that you have a 7 mana spell that you're probably going to try to lead up to. I'm going to save a counter spell for this. And if I see something like this sitting across from me at the start of a game, I may very well mulligan until I have that counter spell in my hand.
That's exactly what I was saying.
But that's fine. You can have that counter spell, but then I will have a counter spell.
I'll wait till 9.
I get it, but here is the thing though too, is that I don't want to play this who's just going to win a counterspell war, because essentially you're playing it's 1v3. Chances are, I mean, if you have multiple people sitting down at the table that are looking at this and saying that there is a potential here for this thing to actually really hurt me, you're going to get that form of interaction from 3 people, and in 90% of the time you're not going to be able to outbeat those resources. I just look at it like this is a commander that I can Dark Ritual and Jessica's Will and burn my cards to try to get this thing into play. And if this thing gets countered once, like my commander, it costs 9 mana. At that point, I'm probably just playing without a commander for the rest of the game.
I mean, at the end of the day, the only thing I'm hearing from David is this card's great. The only reason why it's bad is because it's a target.
That's exactly what it is. It's a huge hate generator.
If this does hit the field, someone at the table is taking one for the team, because whoever destroys this is immediately a target for whoever's running this card.
I don't agree with that either, though, because it has to die in order for its final ability to go off.
That's what he's saying.
Most removal in EDH exiles or replaces. So this is not proccing on the death trigger most of the time.
Yeah, but like, let's say you do try and target exile this, right? Village rights, 1 black.
Yeah,
I understand that there's ways for you to get around it. You can sack it, you can counter my interaction with it, you can do all these other things. I, at the end of the day, still have to say you just spent 7 mana, which is an absurd amount of resources for a commander to even have this thing hit play.
I killed half your land.
Non-lands.
No.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
man's fuck.
And you didn't kill half my land. Whenever this thing ETBs, you target opponent discards half the cards in their hand.
Well, I meant
If
to
you're
kill it.
not accelerating this thing out, there is a very real world where you've dropped this and your opponents maybe only have 2, 3, maybe 4 cards in hand because you are at that point pushing into the late game. I think the first ability isn't all that powerful. I think the second ability is potentially really dangerous because it doesn't always necessarily actually do anything, or it could, in some cases, actually help your opponents. And the third ability picks on somebody and just creates a bully. I mean, to me, it's like this is a card where you're king making and you're not doing it for yourself. You're choosing another player at the table or another 2 players at the table that you really want to set up and give them a leg over.
I mean, if
I
you
can't
get
wait to play this.
if you get an opening hand like yours every game, David,
Yeah,
you
no
get
shit.
This comes out turn 3.
No, I don't play any 7 mana commanders that come out turn 3.
Not yet. You don't.
Yeah,
I
dude.
just think there are tons of 7, 8, some even 10 mana commanders out there that people love to play, and will. I mean, for Gishath,
Mm.
Ur-Dragon.
Mm.
I
Hey,
mean,
my boy, dude.
y'all two both over there and you're giggling and smiling at that comparison, but realistically speaking, Hunter, how often whenever you sit down you play your Gishaft deck, does your deck do things?
I have cards that lead up to it.
You do, but like even with those, I mean the last 3 times that we played up against your dinosaur deck, I don't think you actually got Gishaft in play in any of the 3.
Or if you did, you got 0 dinos off of them.
Granted, that was my fault.
Yeah. The power levels were a little different there. But we're not going to harp on that.
No need to harp on the salt. It's fine.
I want to make this deck, and I'm gonna just for funds play it against David and see how much he targets me.
Oh, I'm 100%. I told myself this was the next deck I'm building.
Let's all 3 make it and then play against David. So there's 3 of them.
All
All
right,
right, well, let's
Steven.
go ahead and move on to grades. Everyone said A. Cool. On to the next card, guys.
Steven, we'll start with grading for you. since
A.
you
I don't.
won.
I mean, can you do S? Is there S in this game?
Oh my god.
We're not doing S tier.
Okay, so A plus then.
Just an A. All right. Well, I'm giving it a C. It's average because of the entire points we were making of how this is not going to get played too often. People will hate it.
I'm going to give this thing a D. I'm not a big fan of it. I understand that, look, some people can play this and have fun, and I'm not trying to say that this can't be a fun commander. I'm just saying that it's too expensive for what it does for me. I don't think this card is very good.
I'm gonna round up that curve, baby. Give it a B.
All I'm saying is at the end of the day, sometimes the finer things in life are a little bit pricier. So
Wow.
You know what? What is this average? We all just messed it up. I think
we
this average
literally
is
went A, B, C, and D, right?
It's a B, right? If we settle on the higher, it would be a B.
All right. I guess we're giving this a B.
You're welcome, Steven.
Oh God. I mean, you understand it, so it's fine. There's no need to say you're welcome.
All right, the next card, Cormela, Glamour Thief. Cormela, Glamour Thief is 1, a blue, a black, and a red for a 2/4 legendary creature vampire rogue. It has haste. It also has the ability where you can pay 1, tap it to add a blue, black, or red. Spend this mana only to cast instant and or sorcery spells. When Cormela, Glamour Thief dies, return up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. David.
This feels like almost like a pre-constructed commander. And I'm not saying that as like a bad thing. I'm saying that as like it is a kind of just like solid value engine. I mean, there's nothing about this card that I look at and I was like, wow, that looks like super, super powerful and flashy. But at the same time, I look at it and it's like, there's nothing necessarily really all that bad about it either. It's just kind of very middle of the road for me.
I'd have to agree. At first, when he read this, I was like, okay, it does stuff, but like, I was waiting for that next line that either made it super broken or bad, and neither one of those happened. So
I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use Hunter's favorite term. This card's just average.
Yeah. That is a favorite term of mine. Well, here's what I wrote about this card. So you can potentially do infinite turns if you set up correctly, with obviously an infinite mana engine on the board, where you can just put like time warp, and that just goes to the graveyard, you get it back, goes to the graveyard, you get it back, goes to the graveyard, you get it back. Very doable, just having unlimited turns. And it also goes infinite with a card that has not been released yet, which is coming out from the Unfinity set, because they are announced that there's black border cards, and that's called Saw in Half. Saw in Half is 2 into black for an instant. This is destroy target creature. If that creature dies this way, its controller creates 2 tokens that are copies of that creature, except their base power half the power and toughness of them. So you're making 2 copies of this creature. One dies by the legend rule, and you can keep replaying Saw in Half by putting it back in your hand. Pretty fucking stupid. So there's definitely ways to break this card, but
interesting.
I don't know.
Saw in Half sounds like a broken card.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I'm still just lukewarm on it.
Yeah. David, what do you think?
I'll just go ahead and do my grade, I guess. I don't know. This thing is a C. It's not super splashy. It's cool. Like I don't think this is going to be the most powerful thing at the table whenever you sit down with it, but it's not a bad card.
I think it has potential to be powerful. And originally I was giving this a C, but I think I'm going to give it a B. I don't know. I think there's just ways to break it.
Is anyone else just really upset that all these new vampire cards are coming out with blue?
That's something I have seen that people are upset about.
Why
You
would you
can't
be
put this
upset about that?
Can't put this in Edgar.
Yeah. Exactly.
Would you want this kind of an effect in Edgar though? How many instants and sorceries are you like really?
Well, so not specifically this one, but like and hello, like the precon commander. Like I think that'd be really cool in the 99. But it's got blue. Like I think casualty vampires or like just casualty effects. Like I'm sure there'll be other cards with like can have casualty, but I just think that card in like a vampire aristocrat deck would just be just great.
All right.
Yeah, I guess. What's your grade then?
Oh, this is awful. This is a C.
Oh my god, it's not awful. Shut up.
Since
It's
when is
not-
this
it's-
C awful?
Yeah,
I
what the
definitely
fuck?
don't think it's awful because because of the haste, it can just do this ability
I mean,
immediately.
cool. You haste and do the ability immediately. You get to play another instant, and then you return one. I mean, I get the combo. I get it. I don't know. I'm just gonna go
You're
back to be Hunter real quick. This card's just average.
Dude, you're a blue hater, bro. Drinking that haterade.
What do you
I'll drink
think,
it all
Shane?
day.
I'm gonna say that it's average as well. I'm not gonna say it's bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's a C though.
All right. C boys. Well, this average is a C. All right, this final card from the Maestros is Evelyn the Covetous. Evelyn the Covetous is 2, a blue or black, a black, and a black or red. For a 2/5 legendary creature, Vampire Rogue. It has Flash. It says when Evelyn or another vampire enters the battlefield under your control, exile the top card of each player's library with a collection counter on it. Once each turn, you may play a card from exile with a collection counter on it, if it was exiled by an ability you controlled, and you may spend mana as though it were any color to cast it.
So before
Steven,
we talk
what's
about this card, I do want to say one thing. For
Go ahead.
everyone listening at home, anytime you hear Hunter say something slowly, it's because he had a hard time saying it fast the first 3 times. Moving on about this card. It's just
I
trying to
love
hard.
the call out, dude.
It's trying to. It's kind of hard to try and find the bad here. I love the fact. I love like commanders with flash. I think that's such a cool thing. The fact that you can play them whatever. Other than that, I mean, the fact that this triggers on your opponent's end steps right before your turn. So basically just flash it in and then boom. You could just use the mana right on the beginning of your turn to just start doing some shit. I just think that's so cool.
Got a very
You're
crucial word there, dude.
You're supposed to hate this card, Steven. It can't go in Edgar.
I mean, it can't, but Miss Evelyn's looking nice, and I like Evelyn.
She would be fantastic in Edgar, though.
She'd be fucking great, dude. I'm so upset. I hear my
So is your
baby
daughter.
yelling across. Yeah, did you hear?
She
She's
got
like,
mad
no,
too.
Edgar.
I was gonna say that this card has a an amazing word that just sounds great, dude. Each
Is it
player,
each?
like
Yeah.
hello. That's pretty freaking awesome, dude. That could be some. I think it'd be some big advantage.
Yeah, though on each turn as well too. So instants
good.
still work for your opponents. You can go ahead and keep your mana up. If you exiled over a counterspell, then congratulations, you now have access to that counterspell.
Yeah.
This card is fantastic.
I agree with you,
Interesting,
David.
David. What if I had Xander and I played this card on your end step, or before your end step, and then I got that counterspell you're going to play on Xander?
Oh my god.
If you're playing Xander and this is in the deck, you did a horrible job with deck construction because this should probably be at the helm.
Yo, get fucked, Steven.
I want Xander so badly.
No, this is Evelyn.
I just kind of wrote that she's got the potential to go infinite with copy effects on itself. Just destroying your opponent's libraries, just exile their entire libraries, and just pass the turn. That's it.
I mean, this also triggers off of tokens, and there are several ways to make vampire tokens.
Yeah, that too. Just make infinite vampires, exile your entire opponent's libraries, and pass.
I love how sometimes you talk about these cards, Hunter, and you're like, if you only had infinite vampires, or if you only drew an infinite number of cards, or had infinite mana. And my first thought with all of these things is, if you're doing any of those, you've probably won the game, regardless of what your deck is supposed to be doing.
I'm just looking at this as a standpoint from this commander. Right?
Let's be honest. Hunter only knows how to say things like infinite. That's how he wins Magic.
It's power overwhelming.
Ah.
Oh, I'm in Magic with infinite combos.
Yeah, you are our combo player.
From what I've seen, you don't win with Kashas, so.
And we come full circle.
All right, what are the grades for this?
I'm giving this an A. This is solid.
I think we're all giving this an A.
I don't know. I think that might depend on. No, actually, yeah. I think we're all giving this one an A, right? I'm giving this an A.
I'm also giving it an A.
I'm giving it an A.
So that
The
average
is an A. And the final family we're talking about during this video is the Riveteers. So, the boss person of the Riveteers... Boss person? I don't even know. Crime family head member?
The Godfather.
This is the
Just
Godfather?
Words are hard.
The God Dragon?
God Dragon, sure. This is Ziatora the Incinerator. Ziatora the Incinerator is 3 a black, a red, and a green for a 6/6 legendary creature, Demon Dragon. It has flying. It says at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Ziatora the Incinerator deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. And you create 3 treasure tokens. David, this is your favorite colors.
It is my favorite colors. I do like the fact that this is a big Jund dragon. I like big Jund dragons. I also like tokens, so I have that going for it as well. I am a little disappointed at the fact that this is just another Jund sacrifice commander, and I feel like it's starting to become a little oversaturated with that play pattern, with that style. I wish they would branch out a little bit more, and I know that, yeah, they kind of are here with the treasure tokens. I feel like I wish I would have seen a little bit more of that and less than the sacky sack thing. I think the card's cool, though. It's big and smashy.
Thing. What do you think, Shane?
I think it's kind of interesting that you get the treasure tokens, right? Like that's just like a way to get the manas, I guess. But I remember David saying before that you probably don't really give too much of a shit about the tokens, right? So
I care about
But
the treasure tokens a lot here.
I thought well, originally when we saw that, you were like, "There's no treasure-based deck in this color, so I don't understand it." That's what you said.
No, there are plenty. That is my problem. Is that like if you're playing a treasure-based deck, this thing has some very real competition. And even if you're looking for another big Jund dragon that cares about treasures, there's Corvold, which draws you cards for those treasure tokens as well.
Okay, well then you
So
completely lied to me, David, and I'm mad.
I'm not lying. What I'm saying is like there are other cards that I feel like take this same lane and do it better.
No, so it's not special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. The cards, it looks fun. I'm probably playing, a different Jund dragon, but I
I think it's okay. David, I will piggyback off of you. I don't really care about the Saki thingy. What'd you say? Saki?
Saki.
Saki.
But 6 mana 6/6 flying. It's okay. It's aight.
I mean, it's a decent enough body. That's big enough where like commander damage is a potential threat.
So you're saying 6 mana is better, just a little over 7 mana from Lord Xander?
So I'm talking about 6 mana for a 6/6 with flying. That a piece of evasion there does make me a little bit more confident in the fact that this card is in green is an added bonus over Xander. So yeah.
Are you saying flying is evasion over exile spells? Interesting.
Yeah, you can fly
No,
over
it's not
exile, dude.
evasion. It's not evasion over exile. It's evasion as in like you can actually connect with your opponent, whereas like Xander is potentially still going to get chump blocked. I don't want to compare these two cards because I feel like they do very, very different things. They live in two very different worlds, and there are so many different factors in play here that I don't know if you can compare them.
It's really funny too because I was going to be like, "Well, David, what if I counter it? How are you going to counter?" And I was like, "Oh, Pyroblast. Never mind."
There are ways to either counter or make this thing uncounterable in Jund.
I just think you're just throwing in gigantic creatures into this deck.
Yeah, and that might be actually exactly why it's not my style, because I would rather fill my deck with a bunch of small utility creatures. And if I'm sacrificing something at the end of my turn to deal 1 damage, that's not great.
I also saw something someone brought up that if you throw an artifact, an equipment that can give Ziatora infect, it's pretty messed up.
I can see that.
You're going to be doing infect damage to people's faces.
I mean, there's tons of ways to do infect, especially in black and green.
Exactly. You could
You
build this
are
as an infect
correct.
commander.
Ooh, I hate that.
Ooh, I hate that.
Throw a Tainted Strike on this, go to combat, and then sack something at the end of your turn.
And then bang. Potentially kill some people very quickly.
So let's move on to grades, guys. What are we thinking here?
C. Average.
Yeah, it's a C. It's not big and flashy and doing anything crazy, but it's not a bad card. It's a C.
I do definitely think that you can build this infect, and I think it'd be super, super mean.
I'm gonna give it a C as well.
You know, I think after hearing all the comments you guys have made, I'm definitely going to give this card a C.
Cool, man. I think we're all on the same page there. This average is a C.
Okay. That just made some unsubscribers, dude. Oh my god.
C. All right, this next card, Mr. Orfeo the Boulder. Mr. Orfeo the Boulder is 1, a black, a red, and a green for a 2/4 legendary creature, Rhino Warrior. Says whenever you attack, double target creature's power until end of turn. I do believe you ran this card in the pre-release, David.
I did. In the pre-release and the not very good deck that I put together, he didn't really do a whole lot for me. I think that was probably more of my fault than his, though.
Oh, and
You-
3, right?
Um,
Oh god.
and you're bringing up some bad memories.
Yeah, what the fuck, Hunter?
All right, I did not construct the best deck, and I will also say that there were some outside factors that definitely led to some unfavorable matchups that night as well. I will say about this card though, I mean, you just talked about infect with the last one. If you are running an infect deck, you just doubled your infect power or your infect creature's power with this.
True. But I was looking more of like a fling type deck, which I think is pretty cool. So put a bunch of different cards like fling, thud, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Do some damage to people.
I think you're wrong, buddy. You know what I'm building with this deck?
Sure.
Rhino Tribal.
Why?
I'm not. I'm just thinking it's cool though.
Okay.
The first thing that came to your mind wasn't Rhino Tribal Hunter. Come on.
Yeah, what the fuck, Mr. Tribal Boy? No, I think this
no,
would
dude.
be a fun, just like big stuff deck.
Big
I like-
stuff
I like-
deck.
Yeah, you know, I like big stuff that it gets bigger. And it's in Jund, that's cool. You can make a super awesome mid-range deck.
Yeah. I suppose you're right. Steven, what do you think?
Yeah.
I think this card right here it's like Voltron with a side of Voltron. It's just kind of fun to me. It could be fun, not really interesting. For me, I've never been like a Voltron player to a certain extent. I feel like there are better 4-cost commanders. I think that there are also other cards in these color format that do exactly what this card does. So I don't know. I'm not a huge fan.
Run all of those cards together, and then just double and double and double and double.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just because I've been burned by Gruul players so much my entire like Magic the Gathering career that I just have such hate for this. I mean, I literally I lost a game like 4 days ago where this guy was playing green red and his commander was you can't play non-creature spells, and the dude just fucking I just wrecked me, and I just wanted to kill myself because he did stuff like the double attacks, and I was just like no.
You got some PTSD going on there, dude. You need to
Yeah,
talk to
yeah.
somebody.
Yeah, this video is bringing up bad memories for everyone.
Shane, what's the card in mono green Stompy that doubles everything?
Unnatural growth.
That's it. Unnatural growth is
Oh,
this
yeah.
is basically on the card, right?
Yeah.
Unnatural growth is commander.
Wasn't there
Oh,
an Innistrad one too that came out? Is that the one you're talking about? It's like 7 mana, or it's like 3 greens and like 2 or whatever. It's got that wolf on the front of it.
It's definitely
Yeah,
not
that one's
7,
still
it's
on-
5.
That's still in
Five.
standard, dude.
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
that
I'm
thing,
just saying.
what that does, Hunter, is even better because it doubles it.
Doubles the
Just like-
toughness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, this seems fun. Like I said, I'm very, again, middle of the road maybe for me. Seems fun.
Where are
You're
his
definitely-
eyes?
You're definitely forcing your opponent to block, right? Depending on the
I would hope so.
power.
Or you're fucking their face.
That's the most aggressive thing.
Okay. Well, Shane, what's your grade for this card?
I'm just gonna give it a C, man.
I'm giving it a D, dude. I don't think it's that good. Very basic.
I'm
Doesn't
kind of
seem
surprised
average.
you're that low.
Maybe I'm biased towards uncommons. Who knows? What's your grade, Steven?
I think I'm kind of torn actually, and I know this is gonna sound stupid after all the comments I made. I'm really like torn between like a C and a B. But I think I'm just gonna go with my original gut. I think this is definitely just a C for me. Then I just keep thinking about other 4-cost things that are better, especially in this color format. I just think of all the ones of the 99s that you can throw in here that do the same thing. I understand David's point that you just put all those cards together, but I don't know. It's just I can't see me doing it.
I'm gonna play this, and then I'm gonna go to combat, and I'm gonna have it pump itself or something. I don't know. And then I'm gonna throw on Embercleave, and I'm just gonna watch it rain pain.
You're gonna watch
It's a
it
C.
rain pain.
I'll say, so
Yeah.
wait, what's your grade? You're all that.
It's a C.
It's a C.
It's a C.
Fantastic table.
That's not a bad combo there, but
It's not a
I
bad
mean-
combo, and then like once you see what's going on and that card gets cast, and you just instantly Swords of Plowshare. I mean, I don't know.
I feel like
I don't know.
Or even better, Fading Hope, just return it to your hand. I don't know, man.
yeah. So Mr. Orfeo, you get an average of a C.
I guess you could say this card was muy feo. It's ugly in Spanish.
Yeah, okay. Good puns today, Steven. This next card is Ognis, the Dragon's Lash. Ognis, the Dragon's Lash is 1, a black or red, a red or green. It's a 3/3 legendary creature, Vishino Warrior. It's got haste. It says whenever a creature you control with haste attacks, create a tapped treasure token. Sad face for the tapped treasure token.
Oh,
That's
sad,
literally
dude.
what I wrote down in my notes. I was like, "Yay, treasure tokens!" And I said, "Oh, sad face tapped."
In the wise words of my friend Steven, who typically tries to find the bad, I found the bad.
I
Yes, you
found the
did.
bad.
I found the bet.
I was thinking of this as like a haste tribal, obviously, because you want stuff with haste. So I'm throwing things like anger into this deck, things like Swiftfoot Boots, other things that give your creatures haste. But that tap treasure thing, that really doesn't break this card at all, does it?
Nope. I'll even go out and say, like, I remember thinking that, or I remember saying this card was super awesome for a standard environment, but I think it's the exact opposite for me in this situation. Now that we're talking about Commander, like, I don't even think it's like average. Like, I think it's real bad. Like, I would not run this Commander. I don't see a reason for me to play this Commander.
David?
There's so many different like treasure makers at this point. I wonder if this is a card that they're starting to like test the water to see if treasure should be coming in tapped as a way to like prevent them from breaking the game, because they feel like they kind of push power level already. The fact that they're coming in tapped and so specific here, I don't like this card at all.
Yeah.
That's what I saw people were saying. They were saying, what if Wizards, like, it took a couple of years. Obviously, Treasure's been around for a while now, but like now Wizards found this new lane all of a sudden. Wait, what if they just come in tapped? I think that would fix the issue with how broken treasures can be sometimes, like Dockside Extortionist or even Old Gnawbone or something like that. If you wanted to throw those in this deck.
Dockside would still 100% be played.
Yeah, so would Smothering Tithe. That would still be played. If, like they did in Errata, and they said, all right, from going forward, every time you make treasure, they come in tapped. Definitely fixes things, but
That would suck.
it would still be played, though. They would just be less dominant.
This card's average.
Shut up.
If we're moving on to grades, though, I'm gonna give this thing a D. I don't think this is average. I believe that it's not great. It still does things. So I'm not gonna give it an F. At least like it self synergizes, so you'll get a token hopefully the turn you play it.
Shane?
Yeah, I'm also giving this a D, man. I almost want to give it an F just because I don't think I'd ever play it as a commander, but I'm sure someone out there will do it.
Give it an F, dude. Say it.
Fuck it, it's an F.
I am also giving it a D.
Man, am I the odd one out, huh? I'm giving this a C. Although I don't think it's an F because it's a 3/3 with haste. The only reason why I didn't really give this a B is because it's not giving other creatures you control with haste. Granted, I know there's a bunch of creatures out there with haste already. I know there's a bunch of cards that give haste. I just think having that in a commander would be kind of nice. The only reason why I'm giving this a C instead of a B is just because the treasure tokens come in tapped.
Dude, a 3/3 with haste and commander seems fuck all to me, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Well-
especially for 4 mana.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't think it's F worthy. I think it could be B tier. But unfortunately, I mean, just with everything going on here, I'm going more C.
You're high if you think this is almost B tier.
I think a couple word changes and this is B tier.
I think the wonderful thing about us having all four of us on here is that we can disagree on so many different cards so incredibly wildly, and that's just part of the beauty of this format as a whole.
Yep, average is a D.
That's just David's damage control because we always shit on him sometimes.
Absolutely.
My kid's very upset with you right now, Hunter. She's just slamming her hand into the table. She's like, "This is not a D."
His next card is Vazi, Keen Negotiator. Now, Vazi, Keen Negotiator is only found in the Collector and the set boosters, and it's Commander card only. So we will be talking about this card because it actually has the Riveteer watermark and the Riveteer colors. So Vazi, Keen Negotiator is 2, a black, a red, and a green for a 3/3 legendary creature human advisor. It has haste. It also has an ability where you could tap it to have target opponent create X treasure tokens, where X is the number of treasure tokens you created this turn. And whenever an opponent casts a spell or activates an ability, if mana from a treasure was spent to cast it or activate it, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, then draw a card. It's got cool card design.
Why are we helping our teammates? Or our opponents, I mean.
This is like the worst kind of group hug.
Yeah, that's the main thing I wrote. I don't want to give my opponents mana for a potential game-ending combo.
Where's the anti-hug? Come on, man.
That's your
you
card.
trying to coin this?
That's your word of the day.
I wonder what he's going to come up with next time. We're learning
Steven,
so
what
many
do
new vocabulary.
Steven, what do you think of this card?
I think it's awful. Like, cool haste, tap it. Create your opponent creates like. No, I don't want to give somebody treasures.
You get to draw a card, dude.
Cool, man. Like, I'm sure this is good in some way. I don't like it for the way I play. I don't like it for the fact that I don't want to give you treasures. I'm okay with kind of giving you, which I guess this is stupid because I'd be okay if somebody were to play like Rites of Flourishing, but like I'm not okay with this. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yo, wait a minute. I thought of an idea. What if you wait, what's the mono black enchantment that cares about treasures and you can win the game or some shit?
Revel in
Revel
Riches.
in
Revel Riches.
Okay. What if you just like made a bunch of treasures, gave a bunch to your opponent, and then dark-sided Sorceress to make a fuck ton, and you had that enchantment out?
Or swung with like a Hellkite Tyrant.
And took all theirs, yeah.
Yeah, I mean so maybe there is a way to do something with this card.
I mean there is, but like that's so much setup.
Yeah, I know. And you have to hope that your opponent doesn't just like stack them in response or some shit.
Exactly. Sacking in response.
It should give them tapped ones. You get untapped, they get tapped. That's what it should do.
Are you trying to be a card designer, Shane? That would make too much sense.
That would make this card way better, though.
None of us should be card designers.
I think you have a good point.
If I was a card designer, every
them...
color would have mill in it.
Jeez. I think you're right, Shane. Giving them tap treasures, it would make this card a little better because you're tapping this creature down to give them mana advantage.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
Maybe I'm reading this card differently than what you are. You're tapping this down for its first ability, which yes is helping them, but its second ability is completely disconnected to that effect. So just to isolate that, whenever an opponent casts a spell or activates an ability, if mana from a treasure was spent to cast it or activate it, you put a +1/+1 counter on the target creature, then draw a card. If you are playing in a meta in which treasure tokens are played, this thing can be drawing you a ton of cards and get really, really big very quickly.
Don't get me wrong.
Though?
Yeah, it's situational.
I mean, nowadays, if you're playing an EDH game, every single opponent's making treasure because that's just what it is. So yes, is this card relevant? 100%. However, it's not you're adding 1/1 counters and drawing a card for each treasure. It's just if the treasure was used. So if I'm an opponent playing against this card, I'm using all my treasure to cast one card.
Then you're not banking it, you're not saving it for later. Which I feel like if that's the case, that like you're getting they're burning their treasures to avoid having you draw cards.
I feel like
I'm playing devil's advocate, by the way.
I was gonna say,
I'm not saying that this card is fantastic by any means. I'm just saying that like I do think this actually does a job.
I think you gave me shit because I'm the guy that likes to save my treasures. Now you're playing devil's advocate saying that you're trying to burn all the treasures.
Yeah, I mean, like you don't want your opponent just having treasures laying around. If they have treasures laying around, that means they have mana, and that means that they have options.
True.
So, like, if you're encouraging them to burn through their treasures and you're benefiting from that as well, I mean, I see that as a plus. You can also take this as like a super politics-based commander and like just straight up just like make friends with somebody at the table and be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you mana. You give me card draw. Like, we're going to have a good time with this.
I wish we played like that.
All I gotta say, dude, is if Bruno Mars was a Magic the Gathering player, he'd be disappointed in this card.
Help my tiny brain understand why it
I
matters.
don't even want to fucking bait into this one.
I'm just saying Bruno Mars has a song called Treasure.
Treasure.
Gotcha. All right. I was struggling connecting those dots.
Treasure.
Well, let's move on to the grades, Mr. Devil Advocate. What do you think?
That is what you are.
And singing worthy is the grade for this one. This card is a D. It's not doing it.
You were high on that second ability, though.
No, he's playing devil's advocate, dude.
He doesn't like the card. He's just like the other people that like subscribe to our channel probably have different opinions, and I appreciate that Dave is kind of doing devil's advocate, even if he's wrong.
I'm still giving this thing a D. What more do you want from
you're
me?
good, dude. You're good. In my mind, I get it. I think Hunter's just salty about saying he hoards his treasures.
This is a D. I'm also.
It's a D. It's a D. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I'm gonna give this an F.
Wow.
You already said D, dude.
I didn't.
He didn't say anything.
I heard you said the letter D.
Multiple.
I still said id. Yeah, so this average is a D. Sorry, Vazi. And the final card from the Riveteers is actually a monocolored card. This is Jaxis the Troublemaker. Jaxis the Troublemaker is 3 and a red for a 2/3 legendary creature human warrior. It has an ability where you can pay a red and tap it to discard a card. Create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control. It gains haste, and when this creature dies, draw a card. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. It also has the Blitz mechanic, which is interesting because we just went through 4 other cards from this faction, and the Blitz is supposed to be from this faction, not a single card had it. But Blitz, for 1 and a red, it says if you cast a spell for its Blitz cost, it gains haste, and when this creature dies, draw a card. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. David, starting with you.
I feel like this card is legendary specifically so that you can't do crazy things with this in standard, because I think the Blitz mechanic is actually going to matter there. I don't see the Blitz mechanic being super impactful in Commander, which could also be why it is we haven't actually seen that come up in John prior to this point. I'm sorry, not John, Riveteers. It's a cool card. It's just, I feel like it's a little too safe in that it can't target itself. But I also have to acknowledge, like, there's got to be combo potential here where if you're copying something, like, you've got to be able to do something silly with it.
I like this just because, like, it reminds me of like Shriekmaw, it's evoke, colors on a black as it enters the battlefield, destroying target creature. I like the things like this, like the Blitz. But I think this is a little bit better. Granted, you're not destroying anything, but you're sacrificing this at the next end step rather than one at ETBs, and then you get a little card draw too, which is nice.
Yeah, I will admit. I mean, I did play this at the pre-release this weekend. I played this color, and the blitz mechanic as a whole was fantastic for me. I really did like it. I thought it was a lot more powerful than what I had originally kind of gauged it to be. I just don't know if that's going to matter as much in EDH.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just filled the deck with mono red death triggers because that's better. So I had just a card like Atsushi, the Blazing Sky, which technically is a legendary creature, so it doesn't matter. It dies when it enters anyways because you have to keep one. Or you can make it go off twice, I guess, if you want to just get rid of the original and keep the treasure and then that dies. I mean, keep the token and that dies. That goes off twice, but I don't know. Fill the deck with mono red death triggers. That's what I see for this deck. Shane?
Hi.
What do you think of this card, bud?
I believe I had the same question when we first went over this, and David said one thing, but I need to just say it again. Blitz will not like get rid of command attacks, correct?
No.
Mana tax is still there.
How do we know when it's there and when it's not there?
If you're casting it, it's an additional cost.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
The card.
Well, no, it doesn't say that this still counts for command attacks.
The
Shut up,
only
Steven.
the only time that you're not going to end up paying for commander tax is if you have an ability that allows you to put it directly into play without actually casting.
Like
Hashtag
Ninjutsu.
Eureka.
Yep. Eureka and Duretti both have something like that.
Got it. Yeah, I don't know. I like David said, I do believe this was much stronger in standard. This is gonna make fat waves in standard, but not so much in EDH. I don't really like it.
So,
Oh,
as a
that
commander, Hunter,
Yeah.
would you like to take us to the grades?
You just took us to the grades, dude. I'll
Ha!
start though.
Yeah, I'm stealing your thunder.
This is a C for me. I think it's basically average.
Basically average. Can I get a shirt with that on that?
Pretty
Sure.
sure they're already out there. I'm gonna give this a C as well, because
Samesies.
average.
Dude, across the board, dude, average C.
This is a C. And with that, that is the end of this video. We will see you guys in the next one for Cabaretti, Brokers, and the non-faction based legendaries. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that like button if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below telling us what your favorite card was that we talked about today, or if we're just wrong completely about any of the cards we talked about in our grades. Don't forget to follow us on our Instagram and Twitter. That is @GuysMagic. Until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
But later.
Goodbye.
Bye.